Hello everyone, I'm Wendall Jones and welcome to this edition of the program, The Platform. On this program we examine the national issues of the Bahamas, and there is a program going on in the Bahamas for the youth of our nation. There have been calls recently for the introduction of a national youth service in the Bahamas. But even with that in mind, there are some people who are doing some wonderful things for youth development in our country. And you might have heard of the Big Harvest Community Sunday School. And under the theme, Ye Are the Salt of the Earth, this is the 15th annual Sunday School Rally in the Alley. And if you've been watching JCN for a little while, every year we speak with the founder, the coordinator of Rally in the Alley, Mr. John Ferguson, who is a former senior officer of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. He is a young man, but retired, and he is our guest on the program today. Good to see you again.
It's good to be here one more time. Thank you.
Yes, you have been running the Sunday School Rally in the Alley now. This is the 15th year.
The 15th year.
Time flies.
Time is surely moving on.
And you were doing this while you were a senior officer of the police force?
Oh yes, while I was in the police force. As a matter of fact, we started in 1995. Mm-hmm. and at that time I was sailing into my career, but it ran parallel, but it was something that I was called to do, and I could not just push it aside.
What brought this about, the Rally in the Alley?
First, the passion for Sunday school was deeply indebted, embedded in me. And at my local church many, many years ago, we used to have what we call these Sunday school rallies. But it was more or less confined to the local church itself. And then when I got the inspiration for a community Sunday school, I said, you know something, this is something the community can use. We can't keep this. This is too good to be kept within the four walls of a building. And I'll never forget that first rally we had. It was like an explosion. The community just, what I would call, came together. And from then on, here we are.
And the question is why did you think that a rally in the alley was necessary? I mean, a whole lot of people do not have Sunday schools these days, or many churches don't. I'm talking about evening or afternoon Sunday schools. Right. Because you are from the era where you had Sunday schools on Sunday
in the afternoon. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And these Sunday school happenings, they've been discontinued in most of the churches.
Well, a lot of the churches still have their morning Sunday schools. Right. But the afternoon Sunday school, which I normally refer to as prime time, when we have the maximum amount of young people who are available to be in such a setting, a lot of the churches, for some reason, I don't know why, they just discontinued it. But in so doing, that's where I think, and I firmly believe that that slide came in, of losing that grip on quite a bit of this generation and past generations. And if we don't continue to go after the generation that is coming up, we could lose the grip on them too. But it's not too late.
And that could be a part of the problem that we have in the society, that we have discontinued these traditions that worked in bygone years.
Yes, of course, it worked, and the record is there. You don't have to do much of a scientific study to see if the record is there. You can look at the products, the persons who are products of those era, and what they have made themselves, how they have pulled themselves up with Christian godly principles, and that's what guided them. Not saying that they were perfect. No, none of us are perfect. But they pulled on those principles that they learned, and they are some of the most successful people we have in the country today.
And now we are talking about coming up with strategies to deal with juvenile delinquency and to deal with dysfunctional homes. And we have before us some things that worked in the past, but we still would not employ these things that worked in the past.
Well, there we go. You see, I always say, if you have a toolbox with all of the tools to fix a particular problem, try every tool. Don't believe that because you tried the screwdriver or the hammer or a hacksaw, try to hold all the tools in the box and you might fix the problem. But I think and I firmly believe that some of the basic things, the basic tenets of the faith, the basic principles that kept this country grounded, that kept young people functioning and making good decisions and sensible decisions, we kind of push it back. Well, okay, you don't need to do that now. How can you tell children, man, you don't need to go to Sunday school no more? Yeah. No, it's almost like telling them, well, you don't need to go to school no more, because the Sunday school was where the children came to socialize with other Christian children. This is where they came into fellowship with teachers who were able to instruct them, give them good, solid direction, and they became the better off for it. But now, what do we have? We have children, youngsters grow up, they don't even know the 10 Commandments. Some of them, they could not tell you the first book in the Bible because they lack teaching. But I am happy to say that we at Big Harvest Sunday School, all of our students, from when we started to now, they have been grounded. You meet them anywhere, they can tell you some things and give you the basic principles of living sensibly, living godly, and living righteously.
And you've had hundreds of children who have passed through, perhaps thousands,
oh, yes,
who have gone through your Sunday school or your rally in the alley.
Yes. Oh, yes. Some of them, I meet them every day. Some of them have become productive citizens. About 2 of them are now in the Defense Force. They are working in various business houses throughout New Providence. And every now and then, what makes me feel so good is when I meet a youngster, and a young man or woman, and they said, Mr. Ferguson, you remember me? I said, your face looked very familiar, but remind me. They said, I used to come to the Sunday school in Woods Alley. And I say, really? Yes. And I learned a lot. And since we moved out of the area, but I still think about those evenings and how you all treated us. You all gave us gifts during the Christmas season, and whatever we need, you all were there for us. Do you all still do that? I say, yes, we still do. They would say, well, okay, I have a son or a daughter, I'm going to bring them. That is the satisfaction I get. And, you know, and while I said I want to commend all of those volunteers who were along with me as we went along, who have helped me and helped the Sunday school to be what it is today.
You know, Mr. Ferguson, you are indirectly indicting the church for its inability to do what it should do, or the negligence, I should say, in not doing what it should. Because here we are talking about something that worked in bygone years, something that is still working for you today. But yet you have the vast majority of churches in our country who knew that the Sunday school, the Sunday afternoon Sunday school worked, and they have closed them, and they have not opened them. They have refused to open them. They must know that it worked in the past. But yet, for some strange reason, these Sunday school, Sunday afternoon, Sunday school classes have been discontinued. That has to be an indictment on the church.
I think what needs to happen now, Mr. Jones, is that churches, denominations, groups need to take another look at what worked in the past. And here's why I say that. What you do within the 4 walls of your church or your congregation, and it remains there, and it does not impact the community in which you are in, it really isn't propelling you in the Great Commission of what Jesus left for us to do. What I am saying is, a lot of the good stuff that is happening in those churches, they have their Sunday schools now. Most of them, but it's in the morning. And a lot of people who bring their children to Sunday school in the morning, they probably bring them to catch the 11 o'clock service and call it a day. But between 2 and 6 o'clock, where are they? What are they doing? What is happening in our inner city? Sunday, like I said before, I said this previously, Sunday is one of the most busiest days for the police, and I'm in position to know. More, serious crimes are committed on Sunday now than all the days put together.
Yes.
Check the record, it's there. What am I saying? Can you imagine if every local church in every one of our inner city communities was to decide between 2 and 6, we are going out into the community and we are going to have open air Sunday schools. We are going to gather all of the youngsters, their children, their friends, and we're going to one of the parks, under a tree, on a porch, and we're going to have a massive Sunday school in all of our districts. I believe that would be one of the most peaceful Sundays we would have ever experienced, because even the criminals would have to stop and take a look what is happening. Things are changing. Something is going wrong. Something is going on here. And I am a firm believer in that, because we have our challenges in the Woods Valley area, and I would be remiss if I don't say it. But the fact is, we are still there pressing on, and we during this rally, I'm gonna one of the youngsters who was injured during an incident there. I remember visiting him after that incident, and he promised me that if the Lord brings him out of that hospital, he promised me in the presence of his mother, that if the Lord allow him to walk out of the hospital, he was shot, he would serve him for the rest of his life. That youngster is out, and he's walking, and he's going to be at the rally with me.
You know, Mr. Ferguson, I know that you have hundreds of people who attend the rally in the alley. It's well attended.
Oh yes, well attended.
Music is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just wonder why this has not been duplicated or replicated throughout the country. Why people, especially people of the clergy, church folk, why they have not taken pattern after what you are doing with the Big Harvest Community Sunday School. Why don't we see this being replicated throughout the country?
I think there's a will to do it. I'll tell you why I say that, Mr. Jones. Every time after the rally is finished, I get calls from, all over, from various persons who want to have either a workshop, how to go about doing something similar. First, I tell them, one, you have to be called and chosen for it. You can't just do it because you feel good now and you think you could run with this. No. You have to be committed, called, and chosen. Once that has been ingrained in you, then you are ready to move. You are now what I would call commissioned to go, whether you go by yourself, you 2, 3, or 4 of you, you get your plan together, how you're going to do it, and you go ahead and do it. We have areas like Yellow Elder Gardens, Montel Heights, Nassau Village, Pinewood Gardens. All of these are areas that are hungry for what is happening at Big Harvest. But now, all it takes is someone to say, well, I am going to deal with Pinewood. I am going to run with Montel Heights. I am going to run with Yellow Elder. And once that happened, the whole city would become ablaze with this Sunday school movement. It's a movement. And I always use what Robert Rakes did in Gloucester, England, when he started his Sunday school in Sooty Alley, right next to the city prison, because he noticed, and to bring it real, Rakes was a newspaper man. If you Google it, you'll see who Robert Rakes was. And England has a statue of him because of what he did for Sunday schools in England. D.L. Moody did the same thing for Chicago in the Sands. When he went to the Sunday school, and I'm in Chicago, and he noticed what was happening, the criminal activities among the young people, he started his Sunday schools, which spread like wildfire. So what I am saying is, persons need to, if you duplicate what is going on in your Sunday school, then, since you don't want to do it from Big Harvest, duplicate what is going on, that good stuff, all of those workshops that churches send their Sunday school teachers to, bring that, take that into the community. The crime is happening in the communities, not in the church, not in the building. That's where the problem is. That's where the strategy needs to go, on the battlefield. That's where battles are fought. And we are in a spiritual battle. You can't do battle in the church. You have to do the battle on the battlefield among the people who need to feel the effects of what you're doing.
You know, Mr. Ferguson, as you spoke, I believe that one of the reasons why there aren't the people who should be pushing this movement forward in the areas that you spoke about, it's because of the level of secularism in our society. We are moving away from the church and becoming a very secular society. And you see it on Sunday afternoons, with the absence of Sunday schools. You see it with the cancellation of evening worship services in a large number of churches. And Sunday is supposed to be, in Christendom, the Lord's Day.
That's right.
Sunday.
Yes.
The Seventh-day Adventists, they observe their Sabbath on Saturdays. They don't allow anything to trouble that, right? On Friday evenings, they prepare themselves spiritually for the Sabbath. But in Christendom, in the other churches, that worship on Sundays, they are moving more to secularism on Sunday afternoons and evenings than anything else. They watch television shows. They have their parties, their fetes on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. And they aren't concerned about evening worship services, the majority of them. You drive around New Providence, churches are closed. True. That was a no-no back in the day, as they say.
Yeah.
Some years ago. Every single church would be open on a Sunday night.
That is true. That's true.
And so, secularism. Now, there are some people who complain and say that they are afraid of crime, of the criminal element. Now, if you are worshiping and you are afraid of crime, then something is wrong, right?
I agree. I agree.
And you say, as a former assistant commissioner of police, that most of the criminal activities, serious crimes, happen on a Sunday.
That's right.
And you go to the accident and emergency department of the hospital, and you see a whole lot of people who are maimed, who are injured as a result of activities on a Sunday. But yet, there aren't any religious services on a Sunday evening, or you don't have Sunday school. So the society must be moving away from the Christian ethic, moving away and moving to a more secular society.
You said it pretty well, Mr. Jones, and you are right in a lot of things that you said, because when you compare what used to happen on Sunday in the Bahamas and you compare it to what is happening now, yes, the evidence is there to support a lot of what you have said. How do we fix that? How do we correct that? We correct that. Well, let me put it like this. Let me put it in perspective. An individual is given the constitutional rights to do, I guess, whatever he or she feels like doing, whether it's on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. We have that religious freedom. We have that freedom of movement, freedom of choice, etc. But there are some traditions, there are some portions of our culture that we have kind of muffled. And we muffled it to the point where what you said is evident. Number one, persons are afraid to go out to church because they feel they're going to be a victim of crime. I have yet to hear, and God forbid, of any massive robbery at a church on a Sunday night. I've never heard of that in the Bahamas. I think And I believe that most of the criminal elements have the respect that if a church or a place of divine worship is in session on a Sunday night, man, leave those people alone. They're worshiping their God. They're worshiping God. Go about your business. So the fear of crime and the fear of something happening has gripped a lot of people in Christendom. And you know who the people who are going to lead the way into that place, and it's in the book, you know, the fearful. Give me 5 persons who are not fearful, rather than 1,000 people who is fearful. I can't deal with fearful people, because when you are fearful, you do nothing. Mr. Jones, we cannot go in one hole and cover it and say, we're not going up there because those fellas going to take our heads off. If you do that, they would have won. If we allow them to keep us out of the churches, keep you from going to work, keep you from having, doing what you want to do, then where are you going to go? What are you going to do?
Evil triumphs when good men
do nothing. Or say nothing.
Yes.
Then you say nothing. The fellow think, well, okay, what we're doing is all right. He ain't saying nothing.
Let's take a break here. This is The Platform. We are speaking with Mr. John Ferguson, who is the founder, the organizer of Sunday School Rally in the Alley. We'll come right back.